It's a common dilemma. Should you send your PPC traffic to a page on your website, or should you send it to a standalone landing page? Let's have a look at when to go for which option. Hi, I'm Phil Taylor, PPC strategist. Welcome to another video. And in this one, we're looking into the question of when you should send your traffic to a standalone landing page. That is, when to direct traffic to your main primary website, and when, on the other hand, it's better to use a separate standalone landing page that would exist unconnected to your main content and unconnected from your navigation. Now, there are pros and cons of each, and there are definitely cases where the main website is the better option. There are definitely cases where standalone landing page is the way to go. So let's just have a quick look through each of them. Okay, so what are the advantages of sending users to a page on your own site? Well, first, the big one is trust and trustworthiness from the user's point of view. So if you send them to your site, then they can see, for a start, that you have a whole website, and they have the chance to browse it and get more information and a better sense of your service and your company, and they can size you up, and they're more likely then to develop some trust in you and what you offer. Secondly, if you've sent people to your site, then you get the possibility of secondary promotion. That is, people have seen your site, they know your URL, so they're more likely then to return to your site, to talk about it, possibly link to it, bookmark it. And this is a minor effect in practice, but it is a real one. Thirdly, a very practical one, it is usually quicker and simpler to just send users to a page that already exists rather than creating a whole new one on a separate system. If you don't have a page on your site that is very relevant to your product, to your service, and allows users to go ahead and proceed to buy it or book it or whatever your conversion is, then you probably should have one regardless of PPC. On the other hand, the disadvantages of sending users to a page on your own site, and the big one, is distraction. So this is the main reason why a lot of PPCers do use standalone landing pages by default. The idea is that if you don't give the user other options apart from what you want them to do, then they're more likely to just proceed with that funnel that you've set out for them. And it is a very strong argument. Also, being stuck with what you have on your site is inflexible, or can be. You're stuck with the quality and style of the website that already exists. And this is often not ideal in practice, especially if the website doesn't look great, or if it's just not optimized for conversion. It might be perfectly good for conveying information, but when you want to sell something, it might not be up to scratch. And also, often you might find that it's hard to get tracking in place, the tracking that you need when you're dealing with the website, particularly if it's a client's website and there might be more sort of links in the chain. You have to convey what you need to the client, and they have to wait for a developer to get it in place. And most PPC professionals have been there at some stage. It can take a long time, a lot more time than it should, to get tracking in place. If you have the flexibility to just set it all up yourself on a platform of your choice, then you can bypass all that. So on the other hand, what are the pros and cons of setting up a standalone landing page? If you set up a standalone landing page, then you get that focus. You don't have the distractions that you can expect from using your own site. So again, you're making it very easy and quick for the user to take the action, the specific action that you want them to take. Relevance. You can make the page very relevant to your keywords and your ads. And you can expect to get a boost on landing page experience, that component of quality score, from doing that. But do take this one with caution, because there is also a potential disadvantage on the landing page experience side that we will see shortly. Thirdly, flexibility. Flexibility, both to design the page as you want it to be and to make changes and test it more easily. And this is a particular advantage when you're working on behalf of a client, where often asking for changes or even tracking input can be a long process. The disadvantages of a standalone landing page are, again, trust, not being able to navigate around the site and find out more about the business. This is a big one, especially if you're promoting a big ticket item where the user really wants to know what they're dealing with and getting themselves into before proceeding. Now, this is the downside of the relevance point that I mentioned before. So your landing page is more likely to be seen as having thin content. if it's just a single page on its own without that much on it apart from the conversion action, basically. Now, thin content is usually a term that's used with SEO, but if you look at what Google asks for when they talk about improving your landing page experience, to offer relevant, useful, and original content, to openly share information about your business and clearly state what your business does, and again, explain your products or services before asking visitors to fill out forms, all of these would require a fair bit of information and detail to do them properly, and not the sort of tunnel vision approach where you just give a user a page with a form and ask them to fill it out. So there might simply not be enough on that kind of standalone page to satisfy these elements of landing page experience. It will definitely help if you at least display a privacy policy link and contact information, or a link to contact information, because those are some pieces of info that Google specifically scans for. But regardless of that, there is a potential disadvantage of just not having enough information to do as well on the landing page experience score as you might if you used a page from your own site. So those are the main pros and cons of each of the two approaches. There's no one conclusion to this. You just need to weigh it up for your particular situation. It is a good idea to use standalone pages if you don't have appropriate specific pages on your site, or it's hard to get them. And if you're running a straightforward lead generation campaign that doesn't require a huge commitment or deliberation from the user. Separate landing pages are also the better option if your site is awful, obviously, and if you don't have the ability or the resources to change it effectively. But if you do have or can create appropriate landing pages within your main site and on your navigation, then that's the better approach because of the integrated benefits that you get from feeding your main hub that is your primary website. Okay, that's it for this video. Subscribe if you like it. Come and join my free Facebook group, PPC Lounge, if you want to hang out with some fellow PPCers and talk Google Ads. And I'll put a link in the description to my free Google Ads optimization checklist. So check that out if you haven't already for some good tips on optimizing your campaigns. But for now, this is Phil Taylor, PPC strategist. Until next time.